I like that Matt Freese and Chris Richards were basically like, you kick our guy, you're going to have a problem. That's what you want. And I think to a large extent there was, and I felt this way, I felt this way on the different teams I played on, but for us, it was the same. My expectation was that you, Landon, were going to get kicked. Also, my expectation was you weren't going to get up and every now and again get up in someone's face, but you weren't going to be the regulator of that.
Mm-hmm.
That fell on my shoulders and some of the other senior players, whether that was in the tunnel or in a coming together. We were going to make sure we looked after you, right? And so what I would say is every team's best player gets targeted and kicked. I always use this example. Messi's the greatest player in the world. You ever watch a Barcelona game in their heyday? You know what teams tried to do? They tried to kick the lumps out of him. So you know what his teammates did? Mainly Busquets, Mascherano, they were his henchmen. So the U.S. needs to go into these games, and Jermaine Jones was that for us. Jermaine Jones would go into a game. He sometimes would say it, but Jermaine was he was so Jekyll and Hyde. He was so crazy and tough and strong, and also he was a jokester. So sometimes he'd say things like, Timmy, watch this tomorrow. And you're like, nah, he's joking.
Totally.
And then he goes in the game, and he's like,
hammer someone.
He lays one on somebody because he knows that they were going to go after you or go after Clint. And so this team needs to recognize. Now, you talked about qualifying, which is where you really learn about teams. But this team now needs to recognize their best player by a million miles, and anyone who can argue that do one, is Christian Pulisic. They need to know if teams can kick him out of the game, they get a leg up.
Mm-hmm.
I like what Chris Richards said after the game. This needs to now happen. This needs to not happen before the game, during the game. Because, by the way, Christian Pulisic will get kicked. So I hope next game, and I'm looking at Chris Richards, the next game that we play, and there's a tackle, it doesn't even have to be a bad tackle, LD. I want Chris Richards straight in there. You see this in the Premier League every week. I want him straight in there to whoever did it and go, be careful. Create something around it that says you only get one of those, right? And so I think I like the mentality. I do. I like the mentality, but it's not going to stop. And so they need to continue to grow in that, and it looks and feels good.